Okay, so I did introduce myself. I'm known as Auntie Pam to a lot of boys and girls. I'm an area coordinator for areas 1 and 2 in the South England Conference, which goes from Gloucestershire down to Cornwall. And I say I've over 30 years in Pathfinders, and I also was a primary and early years educator. So I've been around a while. So today we're going to be looking at seasons. Okay, so I'm going to ask a question first. It depends where you are, because I realise we've got people from across the world. What season are you in at the moment? Okay, so remember to put your reply up. What season are you in at the moment?
What season are you in the moment? Is some people saying summer on the Zoom? Lots of summer ones. Some it says it's winter and August. So they winter there. Some say yes, winter, summer. So most of it seems to be summer people. Somebody said in autumn.
Okay.
They are, but mostly yes, summer, and there's one that comes through that said spring.
Okay, so we're all in different seasons around the world. Can you see from my background, I think I might be in summer. Okay, so thank you for your responses. Okay, so we're thinking about the seasons around the world. So I'm just going to put up what it is that we have to do, okay? So we're looking at Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 to 8, which talks about different seasons and different times. You're asked to illustrate it. Now, when you've illustrated it and you've done some artwork, don't forget to send it in. We'd love to see it. Okay? Identify the...
So it depends, just the question in terms of what sort of illustrations can they use? Only art or what would you suggest? What kind of illustration can they perhaps stones or what do you suggest?
Okay, sorry, Pastor Huron, I couldn't quite hear you there. I don't know whether people had not muted their videos. Please, if you're not giving me a verbal response, you need to mute yourself so that we don't get cross.
Yes.
Get cross conversations going on.
Just wanted to know in terms of illustrations, what
okay. So I will be in the slides later on. You'll get some little pictures of things that you can do.
So they can use pictures, they can use art.
Okay, it can be, now I've done an illustration using sticks and stones, and I've mounted it on a piece of wood. You could paint leaves, you could stick on leaves, you could take pictures of flowers, you can use tissue paper, cereal boxes, anything that you've got. You can even draw a picture in the sand, or do a nature picture using bark and pieces of leaf and create a picture frame to put it in, which I quite like. Okay, so there's all sorts of ways to find out these, but there will be some slides that will show you some illustrations.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about how we prepare for each season. And it says play a game related to the seasons. Now you could have a box full of clothes and all sorts of clothes from all seasons, and someone could shout out a season and you have to find the right clothes from the box and put them on. Or you could do a card matching game with the seasons. So there's lots of different ways you can do that.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the next slide. So here's part of our scripture then. There is an appointed time for everything, and there's a time for every event under the heavens. So that's what Ecclesiastes 3 verses 1 to 8 is about. And there's a song that goes with it. He makes all things beautiful in his time. Okay, so we're talking about his time, the seasons and the things that come out in the seasons.
You don't think
so
you could
Ecclesiastes 3 verses 1 to 8. So you can go look in your Bibles. If you've got a Bible with you, you could follow on and look at the verses. So different seasons, but it doesn't mention autumn, summer, winter, spring in the Bible. So what seasons do you think Ecclesiastes 3 verses 1 to 8 is referring to? What seasons?
There's a question. You all hear me? There's a question. What seasons?
Okay, it was a question because that it doesn't say spring, winter, summer, or autumn.
Yes, the Bible doesn't say spring, winter, summer, or autumn. So what season do you think does the Bible refer to in Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1 to 8? Some say summer, some say all seasons, some say it's a time to be born, spring, time to be born. Yes, anything on the Facebook, Pastor Dan, people are saying? A time to plant. There's a season for everything, a time to die. Oh, with various things that comes in, Auntie Pam. Yep.
Okay, so it doesn't actually say those words, but it refers to types of seasons in life, I think. And it asks us to look at Ecclesiastes 3 verses 11, which I looked at and I thought, how could I put that into words that perhaps might be more appropriate or better to understand? And as far as I see it, God sets times for things. We might plan for the future or think of something ahead, but God is the only one who knows the future, and he sets things in his time. There are times when we have to wait, like a prayer that isn't answered. God says we have to wait. There are times when in the Bible where people have asked for things, but they've had to wait. So it's a time of waiting on God. It's God's time.
Auntie Pam, just to interrupt you a little bit, just for people to know that all the worksheets for this award can be found, at the BUC website. The link is just being posted on the chat here in the
That's right.
Zoom.
Mr. Clifford, just a short reminder for everybody at the Facebook
as well.
The links are also in the description of this post at the top. So everybody who would like to download the worksheets, you can download from those links. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now I've got another question. I've put a question mark there. Do you grow in seasons? And if so, what changes do you go through in that in your life or in that season? What seasons do you grow in? Is there a season in your life?
All right, there's the question, guys. Answer in the chat. What do you grow in seasons? What changes do you go through in life? In the chat there, you can tell us, what do you think? Someone says spring. Spring. Someone says puberty.
Okay.
That's an interesting one. Growing in height.
Uh-huh.
Is in birthday, somebody said. Is that all right? That a good answer? Yes.
Yes.
Birthday, yes. What seasons do you go through in your life? Young and old. Someone said, well, baby, toddler, teenager, working age are the seasons that, yes, we go through in our life. Yes, some of the chat said.
Okay, very good. So this is some of the ones. Oh, I think some people might have been looking at their worksheets, but they were correct. Okay, so the seasons in life, we start off being born, we're a baby. We learn to walk, become a toddler. Then we have to go off to school to learn and be educated. Then we have to go to work. Some people might get married, not always. And then we become parents ourselves. Okay, so the seasons that we might go through in life. So seasons, I'm thinking about, when do they change? And how do you know that the season has changed?
That's a good question. Let's hear what our adventurers think. When do the seasons change, and how do we know when the seasons change from spring to winter, or rather from spring to summer and from autumn to, how do we know when? How do we know? Do you know they change? Sunset time, someone says. The temperature. The temperature change, Auntie Pam. Somebody's saying that, yes. Okay.
Okay. I
Every 3 months,
know.
it gets warm from hot and cold, someone said.
Somebody said, actually, Pastor Clifford and Pam, somebody said, oh, I grow in one season.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting one. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Someone says
just
there's another one. So colors. The
Yeah.
colors change in that.
Mhm.
You can say yes. Okay.
Okay. Well, in my experience, I know when the seasons change because I can smell a difference in the air.
Oh wow.
And I
Okay.
go out and I say, it's autumn. Okay. Or the bird song changes slightly. Okay. So those sorts of things you can tell where seasons are changing. Okay. Now, some of us are from different parts of the world. And the world is like a big ball, a big sphere. And it's separated into the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. Okay. So at the moment, if we're in the northern hemisphere, we're in summer. And the southern hemisphere are in winter. Okay, so it's like being the opposite of day and night. So we had some people that said that they were probably in a different season. So here's another illustration for you. If you ever heard of the autumnal equinox and the vernal equinox, are big words. And if you come from the West Country, you know a place called Stonehenge, and it's used to celebrate the changes in the seasons. Okay, so if you look at the two, the illustrations of the world going around, because we go around the sun, okay, and as we go around the sun and the earth spins on its axis, it gives us the different seasons, okay? So looking at the pictures, you can see on the top one, that Africa, we can see it there, will be autumn going into summer.
Yes.
And down the bottom, you can see when it goes into winter and spring, and that's how they change, depending on the way the earth travels around the sun. Okay?
Okay.
So let's think about the seasons again. Here's another question for you, because I want you to think. What changes do you see happening in the seasons? What changes can you see as the seasons change?
Okay, what changes do you see happen in the seasons? I can answer. Anybody? Yeah, they say temperature, Auntie Pam. They say
Okay.
Also, Pastor Clifford and Pam, there are people they're saying colors change.
Colors,
Yep.
yes.
Also, we have on Facebook, we have an amazing group on Facebook, just to let you know, guys.
Wow.
They're saying as well, not only colors change, they're saying as well the length of the days change.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's quite significant.
Yes, somebody says the leaves fall down or the leaves appear. Change.
Okay.
One season the leaves falls, another says the leaves reappear.
Okay, yeah. So that helps us to know the difference in the seasons. Very good.
And maybe something more obvious, of course, is the temperatures of the certain areas would dramatically change. Some of them a little bit change, some of them dramatically.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So looking at those seasons then, I have some pictures. So look at them and think about...
The behavior of, maybe Auntie Pam, you just want to comment on that one. Somebody says the behavior of the animals.
Yeah, animals change.
What does that mean? The behavior, is that one right? What is there behavior in the animals?
Well, behavior in the children, they get naughty in September when they have to go back to school.
Okay. I don't think any of our adventurers are naughty in that sense. So they're the best adventurers ever.
Absolutely.
They love going to school.
At home, at school, at play, we are adventurers.
Yes.
And we're learning every day. Okay, so the seasons, and I've got some pictures so you can see the changes there. Okay, so let's look at the different seasons. Spring. What's it like in the spring? What happens in the spring?
What happens in the spring, people? Guys, let's hear those clever adventurers. What happens in the spring? Flowers, somebody says, and blossoms grow.
Yeah.
Blossoms grow, flowers bloom.
Yeah.
Somebody added, said birds migrate.
Oh,
Okay.
birds migrate.
Yeah.
These fall out.
Okay, so I think I might have some of those. So we get the birds start to nest, they migrate. we get leaves on the trees and everything starts to look really lovely and green. We get different types of flower in the spring. Okay. Does anybody know what those flowers are?
Ooh, that's a beautiful flower. Anybody got an idea? The adventurers or clever adventurers, what kind of flower is that one right there in the left-hand corner? Tulips, somebody says.
Yep, tulips from
Tulips.
Amsterdam.
Oh, wow.
And there's a song that used to go, when it's spring again, I'll bring again tulips from Amsterdam.
Also, somebody is saying the lambs are born in spring.
Yes, lots of lambs. And also, the farmers need to go out and they plough their fields, ready to plant their seeds.
Yes. Yes.
So lots of things going on in spring. What about summer?
What happens in summer, guys?
A lot of camporees happen in summer.
They certainly do.
Oh, somebody says it's hot.
Yay!
It is
Hot. Very hot at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it's unusual for Britain to be this hot, isn't it? Auntie Pam?
And because it's so hot, we need to water our flowers and our vegetables if we want them to grow.
Somebody says we go to the beach when it's summer.
Yeah.
Oh, wouldn't it be nice to be at the beach today, wouldn't it?
And also we said we have people on Facebook which says ice cream happens in summer.
Oh,
Absolutely.
oh,
Can't wait
yes.
for the ice cream.
Yes.
Okay. So what about autumn?
What happens in autumn, guys? What do we see happen in autumn? Go to school. Somebody says we go to school in autumn.
Back to school.
Yes. Leaves fall down, begin to fall from the trees. Pam? Some say. Yep. Most of them say, oh, number says harvesting. The farmers harvest their crops. Yes. And it becomes cooler. Somebody says there's lots of watermelon. Do you like watermelon?
Okay. And of course the nights seem to get darker and the days get shorter. So, whoops.
But that's only in the northern hemisphere, isn't it? In the southern hemisphere, when it comes into South Africa, it's actually the opposite. In September, it gets warmer.
Yeah.
It's spring, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay, so that's another thing we need to think about. Do you remember when I had the drawing of the southern and the northern hemisphere? And I know that you guys that are over in the other half of the world. Sorry, my mouse is having funny 5 minutes.
Okay.
Naughty mouse. It wants to hibernate. Oh.
And as you mentioned hibernation, somebody on Facebook actually says animals are preparing to go to sleep.
They are. So be friendly to hedgehogs in particular. Hedgehogs are becoming a rare species because they're losing their habitat and the weather is changing. So it's a good time to build a hedgehog house and an insect bug hotel so that they can hibernate safely. Okay, winter.
All right, guys, what happens in winter? Some already started that and they said it's snowing. Some said snow.
Okay.
Snow and cold. We wear warmer clothes. Says winter. It's cold. The animals are in hibernation in winter. It seems like everybody goes in hibernation in winter. Somebody mentioned Christmas, Auntie Pam.
Okay, yeah, okay. That's valid.
Yes.
I always remember winters when I was a child because we had open fires and hot chocolate and open fires in the winter. Come home from school wet from being out in the slushy wet snow that had melted.
Somebody says winter reminds him of the flu season.
Okay.
Cocoa.
So I need to think about the practical things now because the fun thing is the doing and I love getting sticky and messy. And when I have my grandchildren around, we have to do lots of painting and sticking and cutting. So how could you illustrate or make a craft to show the seasons? So you could split a piece of paper into 4 or a piece of card. You can use a cereal box. You can use bits of, if you haven't got tissue paper, you can cut things out of magazines and newspapers to make the different colors on your trees. Okay, be creative. Have a think, what have I got around the house that I can use? But ask your parents first before you steal things. Okay, you could use a handprint to represent a tree. Okay, so you could cut out with card, or as my grandchildren like to do, paint all over their hands and
Oh, wow.
print down with their hands. Okay, so there's lots of different ways.
Yeah.
Okay, again, we've got tissue paper to represent the different colors. So we've got some autumn leaves there, some spring flowers, summer and winter when the leaves come down. So there's lots of different ways you can do it. You could use empty cardboard tubes and use newspaper. If you cut newspaper in strips, it makes like a lovely sort of palm tree on the top if you roll it and cut it. So use anything you can find around the house that you're allowed to use. Okay, here are some more things. I quite like this one here, doing a weather chart for the time of year, or keeping your own weather chart through, you could do it through the summer or the autumn. So what was the weather like on a Monday and a Tuesday? Or again, you could have a piece of paper in quarters and you could put the seasons and draw the weather or stick on some weather pictures. Leaf rubbing's a good fun.
Also,
It says your weather chart looks cool, Auntie Pam.
It does. We used, when I was at school, the children always had a weather chart, and every day that they'd come in and they'd put on a sticker for what the weather was like.
Also, just to remind everybody who's watching this, we would love to see your craft. So usually, if it's possible, send it to my address, which is dan@adventist.uk. I just posted that in a chat room. We'll do that as well on Facebook. Pastor Clifford also has an email address for the e-campery, which you can share. But for everybody at the moment, just if it's possible, write down this address, dan@adventist.uk. And Pastor Cliff, if you want to share yours, that's absolutely fine.
Yes, mine is for the e-campery, an Instagram hashtag SECEcamp, okay, or sececamp@gmail.com. Yes, thank you, Auntie Pam. Yes.
Okay.
In the chat room at the moment.
Well done, everyone. My favourite one, this one over here, bubble wrap. We all love bubble wrap. Now, don't pop the bubble wrap. You can use a piece of bubble wrap and put the different colours on and print it onto your illustration of a tree. Then when you've finished, you can pop it. Okay, someone down here has used some screwed up brown paper, I think. Sometimes you get that in your packaging from Amazon and places like that, or a paper bag, and they've made a tree. I quite like that one. Leaf puppets, okay, so you're using a lolly stick, or you could use a twig from the garden, and you could just find a leaf, pop it on. If you haven't got googly stick-on eyes, you can always draw them on. Okay, again, use anything that you can find to make your craft. So lots of ideas there. You can always get your grown-ups to Google things for you. On the site, there should have been some links to some resources that you can go to. So, and we'd really love to see your arts and crafts. Okay. So now we've looked at the seasons, we've thought about our changes. What I want to know is, what changes do you make to the clothes that you wear to suit the season? So what would you wear in winter or spring or summer or autumn?
Oh, gosh. What clothes do you wear? What changes do you make to your clothes in the seasons? Anybody? Let's hear what the adventurers think. Okay. What changes do you make to your clothes? Winter is warm clothing. Auntie Pam, tell us what kind of warm clothing do you wear? You know, t-shirts and shorts for the summer. Boots and coats are the types of clothes. vests and slippers and summer shorts, winter scarf and blankets even, that some people are saying.
Okay.
Yes.
But
Jumpers.
okay,
Yes.
that's another way you could illustrate the seasons, is taking a picture of yourself dressed for each of the seasons and make a montage. That would be a good one.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you. So, my mouse is being funny. So we have some pictures now to illustrate. Okay,
And
so we
Pam, just
said
a
in the
question.
spring.
Is there, and Pam, just a question. Is there
Yes.
particular clothes or colors in clothes that react or attract warmth or cold?
Okay.
Is there
Well,
particular clothes that you wear in summer that you don't want to feel too hot? And
no.
particular clothes in winter that you don't want to feel too cold? Can you wear white in winter, for example? Is that what do you think?
Well, it depends, I think, on the material, the
Okay.
fabric that the clothes are made of, because you can have a nice white fleece or white fake fur that you might have on your coat in the
Okay.
winter. So it depends. I like to wear colour all year round because that's the sort of person I am. So, but some people dress with their colours according to how they feel.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, but there we have some different clothes that we might wear to suit the seasons. So at the moment, if you're in the winter or the autumn season, you'll be wearing warmer clothes. Excuse me. Whereas now we are in the summer, wearing t-shirts and shorts for our e-camperee. So let's have a look at what these seasons are that the Bible is referring to. And Ecclesiastes said, and somebody came out with it earlier, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to harvest. So that could be spring and autumn, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to destroy and a time to build, a time to cry, a time to laugh, a time to be sad, a time to dance, a time to throw away stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain, a time to look for something and a time to stop looking, a time to keep things and a time to throw them away, a time to tear apart and a time to sew together, a time to be silent and a time to speak, time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. I quite like that verse, those verses, because it sounds like a poem, and I like poetry. So we've got some pictures to depict it. So which one might, the one where my cursor is, up in the corner here,
Okay, guys.
what might that be?
Which one is the one?
It's the
With
one,
hand and the seeds in the hand. Which one do you think does it represent in the text that we've read? Is it a time to, somebody says a time to harvest, some say a time to grow,
okay,
time to harvest.
it's a time to plant.
To plant, and a time
A time to plant, because
Yes.
we've got a time to be born and a time to die.
Yes,
Okay,
time
so
to plant.
they
Somebody did
represent
say,
in those pictures.
yes.
What about this one? Let's say, what about this one down in the corner here?
Oops, you moved.
What's the
You
little
moved
girl
your-
doing?
This little girl here, by the beach.
She's got something in her hand.
What do you think that one says? Says a time to war. Or a time to kill someone else, eh? Or to
Okay,
cast stones.
that's the one.
Also,
There's a time
A
to
time to
throw
throw.
away stones
Yes.
and a time to gather them.
Yep.
also,
Okay,
Auntie
so
Pam and
yes.
Dr. Clifford, maybe we should ask viewers in Zoom and Facebook and YouTube at the moment today, in which personal season you're at the moment, not just the weather season or the time season, in which personal season are you at the moment? it would be very beautiful to know.
It would, because we're all in different seasons, and I'm not sure. I think I might be in the autumn season of my life, but sometimes I think I'm in the spring. Okay, so again, we have some illustrations. What about, ooh, this one up in the corner? What are these people doing here?
Okay, what do you think, guys? People doing in the corner here with the net.
And then the
in
man
the
here.
text. Yes, what is the text? Refer to the text. Time to look.
Yeah. A time to look for things and a time to not look.
Do not look.
It may be it's no use looking because we won't find the solution. We just have to wait on God to tell us in his time what the solution might be. So it's a bit like I said earlier about the prayer, where you're looking for something or you're asking for something, but you have to wait. So you have to stop thinking about it and wait for God to pass it on to you.
So someone says, maybe in a way to say it, and Pam, is it a time to hold back?
Yes.
Yes.
You need to hold back sometimes on things. We have to take stock of what it is we're going to do, okay? It might be, something very simple about what friend am I going to play with today? Is it right to play with that friend? So we have to think about it. We might have to hold back from our decision.
Yes.
And our last ones here, which are the last couple of verses that we've got, which is a time for war and a time for peace. Okay, a time to be kind and a time to be unkind. I think the little girl's poking out her tongue, but it's all in his time. So there they are, the verses again. Okay, so thinking about the pictures I've given, you could illustrate very similar in your pictures. So think about the verses that we have there. So let's come back to the first verse, which says, there is an appointed time for everything, and there is a time for every event under heaven. Now, in the Bible, there were a couple who wanted a baby. Can anybody remember the name of the couple who wanted a baby?
Can anybody remember? I think in the Old Testament, of those who wanted a couple who.
Can anyone remind me? Because I can't quite remember who it was.
Abram and Sarah, somebody said.
Okay, yes. Okay. Were they young people?
No, Abram and Sarah. Were they young people?
Okay, so
Not
they
all, someone said.
They had been waiting a long time for their solution. They'd gone through lots of seasons, but God knew the right time and the right season for them to have their wish fulfilled. So sometimes we have to be very patient.
That's right. Somebody also said Hannah.
Yep, Hannah.
Yes.
Okay. So the Bible is a good resource for us to find out how other people had to wait for things. It gives us other people's experiences for us to sort of learn by, maybe, but I know sometimes we have to learn things for ourselves, but it's there as a learning tool to help us to see what God wants us in our lives.
Credit card bills are high. I wonder how to pay them.
There's someone said Elizabeth and Zachariah.
Yeah.
Also.
It's another couple. So people have experienced things long before we did. Our parents.
Hey Pam, if it's possible, just to mute yourself. We just had to mute everybody just because of quality recording. Sorry about that. So Pam.
Hello.
Pam, if it's possible, just to unmute yourself.
Right.
Okay. Are we back on track? So I'm just going to bring you back now to what you need to do in order to fulfill the requirements for you to receive this lovely patch over here, which has the 4 seasons on it. So, on your workbook then, you've listened to me. And I hope that you're going to go to Ecclesiastes and have a good look at it. Okay, you can discuss it with your family. You could make it into a family activity. But you need to send in, okay, as we said, and we want to see what it is you've done. So by now, we should have gone over Ecclesiastes, so you should know and have a knowledge of Ecclesiastes. And just one more thought to remember that he, which is God, does everything just right and on time, but we can never completely understand what he is doing. We have to trust and have faith in God to deliver the things in the season at the right time. Thank you for listening. And that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for
Thank you.
listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy your Sunday afternoon.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pam. Thank you, guys. You can unmute yourself and just say thank you to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
We love you guys. Thank you so much. And let's give a big clap to Auntie Pam. Thank you.
And I clap to everyone out there for listening and spending time. And enjoy.